Well, Paulie, looking forward to testing your skills out there today.
Yeah, I am. I can't wait. They're the kind of things you agree to do 6 months in advance, and when the day comes around, you regret it. But hopefully, a few holes in, and we start enjoying it. So we're playing with Andrew Johnson, Beef. So he's supposed to be a great guy. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, well, best of luck with that. You finished up with Stade Francais. Are you looking out for another coaching job?
Not at the moment. I'm working at the World Cup at ITV, so I'm looking forward to that, and I'm going to travel a little bit next year and visit a few clubs. So that's the plan at the moment. We had a fantastic year. It was really enjoyable, but the club has I suppose, a different philosophy to maybe what I was used to or what we're used to in Ireland, and we couldn't bring those together. But I really enjoyed it. I was very grateful for the opportunity. I suppose when you play with Munster, if you grow up in Limerick and play with Munster, you don't get a chance to travel as much, you don't get a chance to live abroad. So we really wanted to do that. We wanted to live in France, and we'd love to do that again in the future. But it's just about finding the right thing.
Yes, so you still hold a lot of ambition to stay on in coaching?
Yeah, I hold a lot of ambition to try it out again. You know, I think I really enjoy being part of a team. You know, the hours are massively long coaching. I kind of knew that was coming. You know, Tony McGann was probably the first coach I ever saw, and I realised the amount of hours you have to put in as a coach. Joe Schmidt as well. All coaches now. That while it wasn't a shock to the system, I knew it was coming. It takes a bit of getting used to with a young family as well. But no, I really enjoyed it, and it is something I'd like to, I suppose, continue exploring.
Yes. Did Munster try and lure you back?
No, they didn't. They didn't. I think it's not something that would interest me in the short term. I think I have a great relationship with Munster. I really enjoy going to the games with my parents and my kids and stuff like that at the moment. So I think it's something you'll have to be very, very prepared for. It's a big job, and it's a lot of expectation. I'm delighted that I'm disappointed that Jerry Flannery and Felix Jones are gone. I thought they were two fantastic coaches, good guys that were well worth investing in and developing for the future. So from that point of view, I'm really disappointed. But having said that, the two guys they seem to have got in are great. I know Graham Rowntree real well. He's actually going to come down here to Lahinch for a night in August with us. So he's a fantastic coach, a good guy, comes from a club similar to Munster as well, and would have similar values. Stephen Larkham I don't know a lot about, but I suppose I would have analysed and watched a lot of Australia playing, and they played some fantastic rugby. So he's obviously a very smart guy. So I think coaching is the difference now in rugby. You see it with Joe Schmidt with Ireland, you see it with Eddie Jones with England, you see it with Stuart Lancaster with Leinster. Good coaching is what makes the difference. So if Jerry and Felix had to leave, I think they've gotten two very good guys to replace them.
How are Ireland set for the World Cup in your view if you're going out to Japan, Paul?
I think they're probably in a very good place. I think the Six Nations, I know it's a cliche, but the dose of reality of the Six Nations wasn't necessarily a bad thing. It's great to be going to a World Cup. I haven't beaten New Zealand. Every World Cup we've gone to before this, we've never actually beaten New Zealand. It's not the best thing in the world to want to go there and have to do it against these teams for the first time ever. And I think you saw with England, the only Northern Hemisphere team that has won a World Cup, they consistently beat Southern Hemisphere teams home and away, and Ireland have managed to do that really, really well in the last 4 years in particular. So I think they're in a great place. It's a real shame Dan Levy and Sean O'Brien are out, because I think they're two genuinely world-class players, and you're going to need those kind of players to win the tournament. But if they can stay injury free now, and a lot of their leaders, the likes of Johnny Sexton, I'm sure Joey Carberry is going to be an amazing player for the future, but Johnny Sexton for me is really important that he remains injury free. He's obviously a fantastic player, but he's a great leader and great driver of everything good about Ireland as well. Good to see you. All right. Good to see you. You're well.
Paul, just on the first ever Irish Open in Clare, so great for the local community in Lahincher.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing for the whole Midwest, really. I think there's a massive buzz, and it's great to see sporting events coming down this side of the country. When I heard Paul McGinley was going to try and bring it down here, you wonder logistically how they were going to do it, but they're obviously very experienced at running events in small towns like this. They put in the park and rides, they put in the stands, and it's pretty amazing. And it's great for the whole community. We're coming here on holiday for a long time, so I'm delighted to have the opportunity to enjoy the week here.
You mentioned the culture of the club in Paris. There's no Munster man or Irish man on the senior coaching ticket in Munster. Is that a concern, or is that just
Yeah,
professional?
it would be a concern, yeah, and I think they're two very good guys. I think hopefully the IRFU continue to invest in them and develop them and help them along their way. I think the IRFU are very good at coach development. Matt Wilkie, who works with a lot of coaches, is a really good guy, and I hope they continue to do that. It won't do the lads any harm to go away and do something different, and you'd love to see them come back to Munster in the long term more experienced. So yeah, but it would be a disappointment for me. But it is the way it is sometimes. Sometimes, the right people aren't there, and you have to go with something else. But hopefully there's a long-term strategy to have local guys, and I think you see it in New Zealand. You see it from speaking to Ron McGarr with the Crusaders. The line he uses is, that they care deeply about the Crusaders because they are all Crusaders themselves. And you see some of the decisions Leo Cullen makes in Leinster. He really invests for the long term because he's a Leinster man, and he wants to set the club up for the long term future. And I think it's important to have local guys to do that. Having said that, I think Johan van Graan seems to be, I think, intent on planning for the long term as well. I think with the Irish under-20s this year, with a lot of Munster players playing, they played some great rugby. So I think the future is bright, but it's something that has to be kept an eye on.
And just on that culture then, you mentioned Raj. How impressive is it that he can go to somewhere like La Rochelle, which is very similar to Munster with the local ethos, and be expected to flourish?
I think it'd be great, and they're a fantastic club. I think when we played them with Stade Francais this year, they'd sold out 20 or 21 games in a row at home. It's a small town where rugby is really, really important to them. I think Ronan has a similar brief maybe to Stuart Lancaster, where he does defence. He'll be doing defence and attack. I'm not too sure on that, but if it is, it's a great brief to have. It's a great way to continue learning, because I'm sure he's learned a lot now in his time in France and his time in New Zealand as well. In particular, he seems to have given him a real buzz about coaching his time in New Zealand. They seem to look at the game differently and look at coaching and developing and teaching people differently. So it'll be great to see him doing that in La Rochelle for a while, and hopefully he's the kind of guy you'd see back in Munster in the future.
You mentioned your own plans. Have you any specific plans, any clubs that you've lined up to make?
No, not at the moment. No, I focus now on working at the World Cup, and I'm looking forward to travelling out there for the quarter and the semi and the final. I've never been to Tokyo before. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to that, and then I'll start planning after that.
Did other offers come in, Paul, when you announced?
I spoke to one or two places, but nothing that. I think when you're only starting out, you probably want to work somewhere where you're going to learn, and you probably want to work somewhere where you're under the radar a little bit. I think it's different for different people. Obviously, Felix came straight out of rugby and went straight into Munster and did an incredible job. Leo Cullen the same, but it's different for different people. And I think for me, it's just trying to figure out somewhere where you can learn and learn to teach is the big thing. Anyone can have the rugby knowledge. It's the teaching is the really, really hard part, and that's why I suppose the Joe Schmidts or maybe the Stuart Lancasters of this world who were formerly teachers are very good at what they do. So it's very different to playing or captaining, where you're standing in the middle of the group and you're doing what they're doing, so you're able to coach as you go with them. When you're standing on the sidelines, it's a very different dynamic, and it takes, for me anyway, it's taking a bit of getting used to.
Paul, you've been such an admirer of Joe's methods over the couple of years. Are you a little bit concerned about how things are going to be after the World Cup in terms of continuity and keeping at that level?
Yeah, I think they've done a great job in planning for the future with Andy Farrell. I mean, Joe's probably the best coach I ever had. The next one after that is probably Andy Farrell, and I think he's his own man as well, so I even find it myself sometimes as you can have a habit of copying some of the things that Joe does, where I think Andy is very much his own man, which will be really, really important, that they, I suppose, continue all the good bits that Joe has brought to the setup, and then they find their own way a little bit as well. He's obviously brought in people he trusts and he likes and he gets on with and he rates as well. So I think there's no doubt that Joe will be a loss, but in terms of setting themselves up for the future, I think they've put in great people.
Talking on the teachers there, Paul, or is there anyone in particular that you'd like to work with to learn from any coaches?
Listen, I did a Q&A recently with Stuart Lancaster, and I learned more in that half an hour than I did in a long time. He was absolutely incredible, and you know, that's one thing I've done for the last year, is pick up the phone to a lot of people and just shoot the breeze with them, because a lot of it you don't know until you have problems to solve and you're in the thick of it, like I would have been this year. Until you have the problems to solve and you have a real problem to speak about with someone, you can't grow and develop. So so I've enjoyed a good relationship with the Irish coaches, and loved shooting the breeze with them from time to time and learning, so we'll continue doing that.
Thanks.
Lovely. Thanks so much.
How are you
Cheers,
feeling
guys.
about today? Are you confident? Or
I'm not confident, absolutely not. No. I played a lot of golf when I was young, and I'm very eager to be good at golf again, but it's not coming as quick as it did when I was young. So, but look, today is to enjoy it. Andrew Johnson that we're playing with, hopefully we'll do all the hard work.
Yeah. Have you met him before? Or?
I've never met him, but I hear very good things about him, so I'm looking forward to meeting him.
Cool.